Hills. If I think of it, I'll just yell it out in the middle of the video.
Pilsner!
It's a pale ale.
Hey everybody. Thank you to Michael Dawson. Welcome. Thank you for coming over. I had a beer.
You lost your beer.
Son of a biscuit. Everybody, hold the phone.
Hi everybody.
Hold the stinking phone. Alright. Cheers.
Cheers.
What we're doing today is talking about, I'm calling it saving a beer. Sometimes you make a beer, you make a mead, a cider, make whatever it is, doesn't quite come out how you hoped. It's too hoppy. It's not hoppy enough. It's just
attenuate.
Yeah, too flabby. It's too sweet. Any number of things. Sometimes you can just dump it. Some people will dump it, and if it's really bad, that's what you might do. But sometimes you can save it.
How can you save it, Don?
You swoop in and you save it. So there's many ways to do it. I'm not going to drill through all the ways, but this is a video to just encourage you. If you get that product that is just not quite how you want it, you might be able to do something to it to make it better. So on the table immediately we have a Helles that I made that I didn't like because I used a yeast that was a little probably beyond its expiration date. I thought it would be okay if I made a good starter. Just didn't, it actually fermented, but it didn't taste the best. And I really attributed it to the yeast, but I also didn't want to dump it. So what I did was made a starter out of a Berliner Brett strain that I got. And I let that grow up for a week and a half. Got all foamy, all crazy. It was really going good. I racked this beer that I didn't like onto that. And after that point, it dropped about 6 or 7 more gravity points. It was down to 1012. And then it went to 1005 in the end. So it definitely has flavored the beer. It's up here. We're going to try that. But first, I have a couple of clips from the brew day, from bottling, mostly. I don't know about the brew day. And then I talked to Paul Fowler, who had a mead that he wasn't totally happy with. And he did something to make that more to his liking. So there's a clip of that. And after all that, we will taste this beer. And this dude here, I was always giving him the beer that didn't turn out that well and being like, what do you think? You know. So he's had that beer a few times.
Through every stage of its life.
He was like, stop giving me this beer.
I never said that. I never said that.
You thought it. You meant it. So we'll try it and we'll see if it's better. We'll see if I saved it. And we'll catch you on the flip side. Alright guys, I've shown you this before, but I thought I would just show it again quickly now. This is a Portuguese red floor wine corker, and you can do your Belgian bottles in there. Get it up in there like that. And what you want is a little bit sticking out, just about like that. And I'll show you if you want to do your 375s. You can also do that. You just got to make it a little bit higher. Again, you get a cork. No need to sanitize these corks. So, that's the first step. Then, I just save these from any commercial beers. You can also buy these new. Now eventually they'll break, but you can use them a couple of times. So you're gonna get something to twist it with. You're gonna twist it about 6 times and make sure it's below this lip, and there you go. That's it. What's up guys, I'm finished. If you ever bottle a 5-gallon batch or more, you know it's a lot of fun. A lot of work, but you know, it's kind of fun if you don't have to do it very often. So I did do a 12 pack of 12 ounce. all the rest in these crown caps, Belgian corks rather. This beer got down to 1.005. Started at 1061, I think I said. It was around 1.007 the last time I was taking a reading, so it continued to go even more. Of course, it's quite clear at this point. Now, the funny thing is, the Brett Berliner thing I added is also kind of an experimental thing. So, I don't know a lot about it. It was a Weiss thing. So, but now in this beer there is both a little bit of tartness as well as a little bit of Brett character. The Brett character is actually not as strong as I thought it might be with how robust the fermentation was. But the main thing is, I feel like this beer is way different and way more enjoyable than it was. And maybe we can do that in a month when they get carved up and get another person or two involved in that. We'll see how it goes. Tastes pretty good. Okay, so for this portion of the video of your saving your beers, we are going to take a slightly different track. We welcome Paul back to the table.
Howdy.
And he saved a mead, is what he did. So the concept of saving your homemade, I mean, really it could be anything. It could even be like a food item, right? But, you know, we're talking about fermented things. But yeah, you can, a mead, a wine, a beer, sometimes doesn't always turn out exactly like you hope. And you can do different things to make it more drinkable and enjoyable. So Paul, what were you faced with when you were thinking about it was not turning out like you had hoped?
Well, this is the blackcurrant tart cherry blend. First time I ever blended.
First time you ever blended
any meads together.
Okay.
It was the blackcurrant I made the previous year. That it was really, really good. I got like 2 golds and best of show with that one. So I went to make that again, and I made it the exact same way. The only thing, I bumped it up a little bit in starting gravity, so I wouldn't have to back sweeten as much. And I just stopped short by about 20 points. So
it was a higher final gravity than you wanted.
Right, so instead of, I wanted it to finish like 1030-ish, and it finished at about 1052.
So wow, that's like an original gravity, isn't it?
Yeah, it's pretty high.
For some things.
It tasted really good, but it was just...
That's good.
Sweet. You know, it was just too sweet.
So that was the one that you weren't as happy with.
Right, I'm like, well, this is really great. What could I do with it? I was like, well, I could pitch more yeast in it, but you already put them into a high alcohol environment, and I'm like, I don't even want to do that. I'll just set it aside and I'll figure out something with it. At the same time, I had a 1 gallon tart cherry mead going, just in 1 gallon, because I just wanted to try it.
Was the blackcurrant a full 5 gallons?
That was a 3 gallon.
3 gallons? Okay.
So the tart cherry stopped where I wanted it to. It was like about 10:25-ish. Tasted good, but it just had a character in the finish that I didn't necessarily care for. Maybe a lot of people would have liked it, but I'm like, man. So I'm like, let's blend these two.
Oh, so I guess that was something I wasn't maybe fully aware of. So both things you weren't especially happy with on their own.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's a really good use of.
It was just
of the
happy coincidence that I had 2 things. I'm like, well, let's see what it tastes like together.
So how did you go about sampling that or testing that?
I figured I'd just do some little sample blends with it. So I did a 1-to-1 ratio, a 2-to-1, and a 3-to-1, and then just sampled it. And I wound up going with the 2-to-1, and that's what we got.
2 parts sweet?
2 parts, yep, 2 parts blackcurrant to 1 part tart cherry. And that's what we had.
So what do you think of the result then?
I think it turned out really nice. So nice, I entered this into the 2017 homebrew con. So
We'll see
how it
cheers.
goes.
Good luck.
Yeah.
The tart cherry, I can get that a little bit, and I'm thinking of the really super yummy Belgian red beer by New Glarus, which, have you ever had that?
You talking about the cherry beer, maybe?
Yes.
Yeah, we have some at home. Yeah.
Okay, so a really flavorful, juicy, tart character that is a little bit, sweet, fruit flavor, juicy fruit flavor, but it tends to be a little bit on the tart side. They also, there's a lot of sweetness to the beer, but it's supposed to have a little bit of a tart effect. I kind of get that real good cherry flavor out of here.
Yeah, you get a lot of the tannin and stuff from the cherry in there. Because the 1 gallon was made from juice, so the juice itself, you could tell when you just tried the juice, that had a lot of that in it to begin with.
So juice and honey. You had juice and you somehow dissolved the honey in the juice.
Yep. Yeah.
Oh.
So it was just all juice on that one.
Oh, okay. So not water and honey and then putting fruit into it.
Right, because it was
It's
just a
actually
1
juice.
gallon, so it's
Okay.
kind of hard to fit 3 pounds of fruit in a 1 gallon little container.
Well, unless you did it in a big bucket or something.
Right.
but-
Yeah, you could do it that way, but.
I don't know if I've heard of taking fruit juice and putting honey in it and making a mead that way. That's interesting. This is really good. I don't know what a black currant itself tastes like, but I probably had your black currant meads. I maybe have had other black currant foods or, beverages. So I maybe sort of know what I'm getting out of that, and there's definitely a sweetness here.
Mm-hmm. I think this blend is 1042 after the blend, so it doesn't come off too sweet.
No, it's really nicely balanced, and I've had a number of your fruit meads, and they're always really nicely balanced. And my meads, I don't do fruit meads, but my meads are always a little bit on the sweet side. And if you're an actual real mead maker or mead drinker, you probably may not like that because they're a little overly sweet, because that's just kind of how I make them. But yours are more dialed in to a better sort of range of acid character, and
some acidity.
I just haven't done that, but this is really nice. So this is a great example of saving a product that you've made that you're not super happy with. We're gonna talk about my beer, my featured beer. We'll do a tasting of that. Maybe I'll have that after this, and we'll see if I made that a better end product than what it was otherwise. And so thanks for bringing this over.
You bet.
We got a couple other things to try. On to the next segment. Here we go. It had a little pop, so it should be somewhat effervescent. Effervescence forever. Effervescence.
It's nice and clear, Don.
Yeah. Well, I have my notes, but it's quite old.
How old is it?
Well, I'll have to refer to the notes, but it's year and a half-ish. Alright, so there we go. The color is, this one is, Alright, let's give it a try. Alright, we are back.
Never went anywhere.
It's true, we did. So we're drinking this beer, which, as you were saying, it has gone clear, but that's pretty normal for beer that's been around. I made it in December of 2015. It's April 29th of 2017, so it's coming up on 1 year and 5 months. And he was asking me if I have talked about what the beer tasted like at the time. I guess for the pre-bred, and I guess for the point of the video, it would be worth touching on. It had sort of a bite to it, kind of like an orangey, tart, tangy bite. The other thing was it had sort of this cooked, air quotes, cooked flavor that was kind of like a brothy flavor that I wasn't crazy about. And is there any other memory you have?
Your notes and just kind of talking about it has kind of refreshed my memory. And I remember There was kind of some lingering sulfur to it. There was that kind of DMS cooked quality that you talked about. And I also remember like kind of a lingering yeast bite. I don't remember the fruitiness quite as much, but there certainly could have been some esters. But I remember the yeast bite, the sulfur, and some DMS or something to that effect in the base beer post fermentation that just kind of wouldn't dissipate.
So, and I let it sit around for a while, and it wasn't until February 14th. I guess I was really busy that day. I racked, it was probably in the afternoon. Come on. Anyway, I racked the beer onto the Brett starter amount, and it was 1011 at that time, gravity, and it got down to 1005. That was February 14th, so that was
10 weeks?
it was 2 months. It was 2 months after I made it. It wasn't getting any better. It wasn't, I'm like, okay, let me try this.
And this was a recipe that you had made before.
Oh,
like
yeah.
The grist and the hops and
Right.
everything.
I knew kind of how
the
I
same.
thought it should taste. So then I bottled it. So that's February 2016. I bottled it February 2017. So it sat. I might have racked it again. I'm not sure. No, maybe I didn't. I don't think I did.
I don't think
I
you
just
did
let
either.
it sit in there. Anyway, so it sat on the Brett business for a year, fermented even lower. Here we are. What does it taste like now?
I think it tastes great. As it sat here and breathed, like I noticed some fruits and identified some aromas I'm getting out of it, but it's only gotten more complex as I've kind of smelled it more. Like I got apricots and cherries right away, and now I'm getting like, this is a very like distinction to make, but like white peaches, raspberries, lychee. Like it's got a really complex bouquet, and
we were talking
I
earlier
love
that
it.
like peppery, and I was saying like mint,
yeah,
and lavender,
yeah.
or some kind of, there's a floral and herbal character.
I think those aromas, which I'm attributing to the Brett, are they're a lot stronger in the aroma
Right.
than they are in the
Yeah.
flavor. The flavor's very mild. Like I get more of the pepper, a little bit of that flowery kind of stuff, like the minty lavender, some herbal.
Oh, that is coming through more now that
Yeah.
it's getting a little warmer. Now, what about so that's the Brett. I never tied that in with that, but that makes sense. How about it has a little tang to it, which I assume is lacto, since it was called Berliner Brett. Wasn't it?
I'm pretty sure that was just a straight up Brett, and there was no
I wrote down.
lactic
I
bacteria.
have in all my notes. Really? I have in all my notes that it said
Yeah.
Berliner Brett on the
I'm pretty
thing.
sure. I'm pretty sure that was just a straight up Brett isolated from Berliner Weiss. No.
Then
no.
I wonder where that.
Any of the pH. I mean, there might have been some pH drop from the Brett, but it wouldn't make it very acidic on its own. I get a little tang to it, but
Yeah.
the base beer had that tang.
Yeah.
Air quotes. Right.
And we were also saying that maybe there's a little, or I was saying maybe there's a little bit of the original beer flavor that I wasn't crazy about. That's still sort of part of this beer. However, this I can sit down, I can drink, I can enjoy it. It's definitely way more enjoyable than it was if I wouldn't have messed with it. So it's just an example. I'm sure you guys have done this all the time. You've made one batch, didn't turn out, you make another batch, you blend them, or you do some oak, or you do some fruit, and nowadays we were talking earlier, there's so many yeast varieties that you can get, funky strains and blends. You can always go that route like I did with this one. So anyway, I think that's about wraps this up. This has gone on long enough with all the other miscellaneous clips. Thanks for coming over and being all along the path of this crazy beer.
Thanks for having me all along the path of this crazy beer.
All right.
Dono.
You're welcome.
Preach.
See you guys later.
Cheers.
Bye, 10.